I'm Morgan Merriman, Realtor at RE/MAX Alliance here in Fort Collins, Colorado, and thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Lifestyle Living's Community Connection. So today I have the pleasure of speaking with Heather Trantham and Jason
Hevelone.
Yes. Who are the owners of Coppermuse Distillery here in Old Town Fort Collins. Coppermuse opened in 2014 and is a distillery with a tasting room and a beautiful patio right here at the Exchange that produces premium handcrafted spirits, including vodka, whiskey, rum, gin, agave spirits, and liqueurs. So thank you both for taking the time to do this and meet with me and talk with me today. I'm excited to learn a little bit about you guys as well as what you do here at Coppermuse.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So first off, tell me a little bit about you guys, how you got to where you are now, both personally and professionally. A little background.
Okay.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So Jason and I met in 1988 when we went to CSU to become engineers. We dated the whole time we were there and graduated in 1992 and got married in 1993 and started our engineering careers. And after, over 15 years or so, Jason was really looking for a change of pace and something to create on his own. And that's where the idea of the distillery was born.
Yeah.
We really like craft beers, but it felt like that market was kind of saturated here in NoCo.
For sure.
So, a distillery was something really interesting. And then he took on doing all of the background to get the whole business started. We opened in 2014. During that time, I still had my engineering job, but about 2.5 years ago, I'm here full-time now at the distillery.
Okay, cool. Exciting. And so 2 things, engineering can be pretty broad. So what type of engineering did you guys delve in?
Yeah, so I was an electrical engineer.
Okay.
And then Heather was a civil engineer.
Okay.
Although she says you're either a civil engineer or an uncivil engineer, so kind of thing. But I basically went to work in the high-tech semiconductor field, making microchips and stuff like that.
For sure.
And did that for about 15 years. And then I jumped to a startup that was out of CSU. It was a solar manufacturing facility called Abound Solar, and did that for about 4 years. And towards the end, I could tell the company wasn't going to quite make it. It was going to go bankrupt. And I was like, oh, do I get another engineering job? Or back when we were in college, we also made home brews all the time. And we always kind of thought it'd be kind of fun to open a brewery,
For sure.
But, Fort Collins being Fort Collins, at that time, I think we had over 20 breweries. And I was like, do we really need another brewery in this town?
Yeah.
And that's around the time I had my first craft spirit, which was gin from Leopold Brothers down in Denver. And it was just like when I had my first craft beer, just how much different and nuanced, and the flavor was more explosive and just, caught my attention as opposed to any other that I had before. And it was like, that's it. That's something new. Fort Collins didn't have a distillery at the time, and then I just threw myself at it.
And that's amazing. And so that sort of leads into the second part of the question that I was going to ask, which is, did you sort of dip and dabble and experiment in the distilling before you officially launched this?
Well, the interesting thing about distilling is it's illegal to do at home. You can ferment anything.
You can make beer at home.
You can make wine. You can make mead. You can make cider.
If you're distilling at home, you're bootleg.
You're basically, you have to have a still.
What is it? Moonshine.
You're making moonshine. And, you're basically making a flammable liquid, because you can't really set a beer or a wine on fire very easily, right?
Yeah.
So, but you can certainly set off anything that's distilled, very flammable. I think a lot of homeowners' policies wouldn't appreciate you having a still at home.
For sure.
Although I do meet plenty of people that dabble in it a little bit. Yeah, usually it's kind of one of those things. But I ended up kind of doing some more study. For instance, there's a lot of distilleries that put on workshops. So we went up to Breckenridge Distillery and did a 3-day intensive whiskey making workshop. We went out to Chicago where there's another distillery out there that they encompass more the whole business of owning a distillery, not just the distilling part, but you got to have insurance, you got to deal with the federal government, the state governments, you have to have a brand, what about, how do you work with, your marketing and sales? How do you get into liquor stores and bars and stuff like that? So they were more of an all-encompassing kind of, this is your business. Distilling is one little piece. It's an important piece, but there's a lot of other things that go on too.
I mean, I'm sure that provided a lot of value because you're right. You're like, I want to open a distillery, but unless you have that business background, you need to know everything that goes into it. We're sort of taking those steps right now. My wife is about to start her own esthetician business.
Yes.
And makeup and everything.
Sure.
We're renovating our basement right now, and she actually takes her final exam today. She's passed the other 3, and
Oh, that's great.
And so we're sort of delving into that too. Like, let's talk to a lawyer. Let's make sure that we've got all the proper forms, proper insurance, everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Call DORA, Department of Regulatory Agencies, make sure that we don't need some sort of handicap elevator going down our stairs to the basement. Luckily, we don't. So, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and luckily, when I was getting this off the ground, Heather was still working full time as an engineer. That kept us in house payments and insurance and healthcare. Which is very important
All
and stuff.
important.
So,
and awesome. I love it. Well, very cool. Good to hear the backstory. So tell me a little bit about, and we touched on it a little bit, but a little bit more about the history of Coppermuse and what inspired this. I mean, you guys were engineers and you sort of loved the craft brew, but anything else that really just said, let's do this?
I think the main thing was, a lot of little aspects of like finding the business was, where do you set up shop? And stuff.
Yeah,
and
yes.
we looked up, on real estate all over the place,
Yes, we did.
and really came to the decision that we really needed to be part of the downtown area, because people don't want to drive out into the middle of an industrial area where maybe, a lot of distilleries tend to be, because you need high ceilings, a lot of power and stuff like that.
Warehouse-ish.
Warehouse, you got to have room for barrels, all that stuff. But we knew that if we could be part of the downtown area, we'd be able to attract more people. When we get more people in, they can try our spirits, they can enjoy them, and then you start to get a following and stuff like that.
Hopefully, then naturally it just grows easier.
And that's what we did. We grew from there.
Yeah.
And then kind of as we were doing that, we started distributing our products ourselves. So not just feeding the spirits that we made into our tasting room restaurant, but also selling it to other restaurants and bars and liquor stores in the area and stuff. And so we started off doing self-distribution. We did that about 1.5 years. And that went really well, other than you get to the point where you deplete yourself as far as how far you can get your product. So we were kind of in northern Colorado and Denver, but to get it to Durango or to Grand Junction or even to Aspen, it's a lot to drive and stuff.
Absolutely.
Or have staff that are so far away from you, it's really kind of disconnected. And so that's when we kind of made a decision to go with more of a distributor partner who already has the sales reps everywhere around the state, and we've been with one since 2016 here in Colorado. So.
Well, and that's good. Then that's a pretty quick jump from 2014 to 2016 to be able to have a distributor that can really get it in a further range than what you can do on your own.
Yeah.
No, and that's huge. And I've been to one of your competitions that is in like a warehouse type setting. And they've got a cool front space and like a room on the side where you can do little private events and stuff. But it's off the beaten path. If I hadn't been invited there for an event, I would have had no idea that it was even there.
Right.
And then you guys, even before we booked this interview, I knew that you guys were here because we come to the exchange.
Yes.
We come and get a burger or a waffle or, ice cream from Church.
Mm-hmm.
So this being such a lively area is just perfect.
And very family friendly too,
Yeah,
and then, having the live music, on the weekends and stuff like that. Yeah, it just really draws a lot of people.
Yeah.
Something for everyone is what I like to tell people.
Absolutely. No, such a cool little area. All right, so elaborate a little bit on the menu of items that you provide here. So I sort of went down the list, but talk to me a bit about what you guys do.
So we started with vodka. It was the easiest to get in a bottle and try to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with vodka. And then our staff that we had at that time really started to play around with infusing the vodka with all sorts of different stuff. And they were super creative. And so that's why we have a large line of infused vodkas. Some of them became so popular, we made them into retail products, and those are distributed and sold. And then there's another 20 that I actually make just for our bar, just for specialty cocktails that you can only have here. So that was the vodka, and then we moved into rum, and now we have 4 rums. We have an unaged, we have an aged rum, we call it our gold rum. We have a spiced rum, which is beautiful for the holidays, and then a pineapple rum, which is fun for tiki drinks in summertime. Gin is probably our most popular distributed product. It's a beautiful gin.
Gin has become very popular over the last probably 5 to 10 years.
Yes, yeah. From there, we started our whiskey. That takes time because it has to be aged. We do have an unaged whiskey, but then there's also, it's aged in virgin American oak barrels.
Nice.
And then, what am I leaving out? We have some liqueurs.
Okay.
Yep. We have our agave spirits, which is tequila, but we can't call it tequila.
Oh, I
That's
know
right.
all about that.
Yeah.
But we do
Rules
have a
on
blanco, a reposado, and an añejo.
Nice.
We have an absinthe. That's one of our newer products, and it's really good.
And so really our specialty here at Coppermuse is not just doing a tasting flight of shots, you know, because that's, if you were just to drink the spirits, that's a lot, you know, to take on.
For sure.
It's really the cocktail where things kind of really are magical.
And I was reading your chalkboard menu out front while I was waiting.
Yeah.
You got some interesting cocktails. And
Yes.
I come from, I hate this term, but I come from the mixology world,
Yeah.
you know, and I worked a lot in craft cocktails and funky cocktails in high-end Mexican restaurants back in Austin. And so I know very much about tequila and mezcal and the regulations behind that, and why you can't call it tequila. But we were doing things with, you know, muddled corn and habanero infused tequila with pineapple liqueur, and then double strained with a mist of absinthe on top and a hibiscus salted rim and all sorts of stuff. And that is, I mean, it's fun to create that stuff and see how things play off of each other. So.
And our staff is really passionate about that. We have seasonals that come out quarterly. So, and all of our front of house staff, which is usually about 5 or 6 people, are responsible for coming up with their own seasonal. So they're very creative and really fun. People, our guests, really look forward to it because it's something that's not on the menu all the time.
For sure.
And then we kind of tally up whose seasonals sold the most, and there's bragging rights and involved. So it's been,
Make it a friendly competition.
Yes,
I like it.
And they really enjoy that.
That's very cool. Have you, and this is just my own, I'm always curious about this, working in a place like this seems like it would be fun and enjoyable. Do you have long-standing employees, or have you had a fair amount of turnover, especially things like COVID, or do you have some employees that have stuck with you for quite a while?
Well, we had a group of employees that when we started and were with us for about 5 years, which is a really long time in the service industry.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we kind of, that manager that we had, she was our very first employee. She's amazing. She went into real estate.
Oh, okay.
But
Popular transition.
She was ready to move on and do something else. So then we got a new manager and a whole new set of employees. And people do come and go, but we had another set that were with us for over 4 years.
Yeah.
And kind of went through the whole COVID and recovery from COVID.
We had to lay everybody off, got them all back with their loans. You know, it was a whole adventure. And then just recently, that manager has wanted to move on.
Okay.
And so now we call it Coppermuse 3.0 because now we hired and we have a new core set of employees.
Well, but it looks like, 5 years and 4 years, you're right. I mean, that's a long time
in
service
was, yeah.
industry. My longest job that I held in service industry was 3.5 years. Because things happen or you want to go to another place or, whatever the case may be. So holding on to people for that long is huge. It's a testament to you guys and how you run the business.
And then I think we tracked a lot of people too that are, these days it's like a lot of our employees have multiple gigs. They may have 2 or 3 jobs and, kind of being able to work with them and juggle around. And it's like, how can we fill out our work week with our people that we have and keep them engaged and stuff like that. And that was one of the big things that we worked really hard during the COVID time period is, we did take advantage of getting that PPP loan and we used that to bring our employees in and employ them,
And
so
we steamed every inch of this
we steamed
place.
and cleaned and painted and we did a lot of work.
We redid the epoxy on the bar.
Yeah.
We did just a lot
And
of
so
maintenance.
A lot of employees, especially from the service industries, were at home and just collecting unemployment. We were bringing ours in and engaging them and stuff like that. So when we were allowed to open again, we didn't have any loss. People came back again and stuff. So it was really nice.
No, that's playing it smart for sure. Alrighty, so what is something that your customers or clients would be surprised to learn about your business? Kind of a tough question.
Well, one thing, because I have been doing a lot of interviewing for Coppermuse 3.0. So one thing that I find people don't understand or know or don't even think to question is that we can't serve any alcohol here that we don't make.
Okay.
I can't buy vermouth to put in your martini. I have to make the vermouth.
Interesting.
Bitters are kind of the exception, but they're just dashes, and it's kind of a weird gray area.
For sure.
But we can't serve beer. We can't serve wine. Only things that we make.
Interesting. And I didn't know that either because, say you go to, I'm going to use Black Bottle because I know the owners. You go to Black Bottle Brewing Company, they have their beers on tap, but then they have some other local beers on tap.
Yeah.
And then they serve food and what have you as well. You can't do that. Distillery rules are different.
Yeah, well, so the liquor laws are all really unique, and it's a thing too where even like beer is different than wine, that's different than distilled spirits and stuff. So like for instance, the case of Black Bottle, they're a brew pub. So what that license allows them to serve any kind of alcohol, but it caps how much they can sell outside of their facility. So they can't sell a lot of products to a lot of other restaurants and bars and distribute their products through the states and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are a brewery manufacturer, you're kind of stuck with your own products and stuff. And so the same model exists for distillery. You can be a distillery manufacturer, which is what we are. We make it, we can distribute our products, and we currently distribute it in 3 states right now. Or you could be a distillery pub, in which case it kind of opens up to bringing in wine and beer and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, kind of some interesting nuances of the law.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, very cool. All right, so what do you love most about Coppermuse, and what do you feel sets you guys apart from the competition in the area?
I kind of come back to one of our core values, which is delighting customers through their experience, and it's because we have such an elaborate cocktail menu, and we take so much passion in taking these craft spirits and turning them into craft cocktails to where you're not going to get just a vodka and cranberry or, just a rum and Coke. You can get those things, but let us offer you something different and new, like your experience in Austin with the mixology and just the range of flavors and possibilities you can do there. I think that's a huge thing. Just that we make so many different types of spirits. A lot of distilleries they'll make focus on whiskey or maybe rum or a few dabble in a few other things. But because we're trying to be a full service bar, we have to make everything because we can only serve what we make on premise and stuff. And then I think the other thing is just the fact that we actually invested in a kitchen as well. So we have a full food menu where we do appetizers and shareable dishes as well as sandwiches. And we really wanted to elevate the food above just kind of standard pub fare. We didn't want just to be burgers and fries and fried goods. And so we really take a lot of attention to our food so that you get a nice bruschetta or a bacon wrapped scallop or some really unique meat and cheese boards with cured meats and stuff like that. That's just gonna elevate and pair perfectly with that cocktail.
So that's speaking my language. Yeah. I'm a foodie. My wife is now a foodie. We've been together 9 years, and I've exposed her to a lot of different things that she's never had before. Carpaccio and steak tartare and things of that nature. And so we love finding good food. So that excites me that you guys offer that type of stuff, which brings me back to this. Obviously, so I'm sober 3 years. Do you guys do mocktails at all?
We absolutely do.
We do.
Okay. Yeah.
And mocktails is having kind of a moment.
It is.
And so we kind of started our mocktail list was just bought some vodka cocktails without the vodka because vodka's tasteless, and so the rest of it shone through.
Like it's easy to make a Bloody Mary without putting vodka in. It still tastes really great and stuff like that. But then our manager really kind of took it upon herself to really kind of expand it and not just offer just a bunch of juices, actually craft something.
Yeah, muddling mint and different things and some bitters and
throwing in ginger juice for that little bit of ginger spice, things like that can make for really unique
and putting it into a real cocktail glass, so it's not just
garnishes and
a
everything.
pint or
here's your juice.
Here's your juice. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's great. That gives us, my wife is sober as well. And so that gives us just another reason to pop in here. Because like I said, every time we've come over here, I go, distillery. But the fact that we can come over here, we can have a nice mocktail and some nice snacks. Yeah, absolutely. And you're catering to all.
Yeah. And it's like, we're finding too, a lot more of our customers, different times of year, maybe they're doing a dry January or, kind of a challenge month where they just want to kind of have a little bit of reset and not, get the alcohol and control in their lives and stuff. And it's important to offer that.
Yeah, we're also part of the Foodie Walk, and the Foodie Walk is family friendly. Yeah. So if we do offer something, a taster that's alcoholic, we also can offer a mocktail for whoever wants that, or children, or
Smart.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Something
I like
fun
it.
to try.
All righty. So go ahead and tell everybody how they can find you, both physically and online.
Okay. So we're located just in Old Town in the Exchange. The address officially is 244 North College Avenue. And we're also, if you want to go to our website, it's just real simple, coppermuse.com. And if you're looking for like social media like Facebook and Instagram, you can find us at the Coppermuse.
Okay, perfect. And then last question, I like this one. When you aren't working, which as small business owners is probably minimal, when you aren't working, what do you enjoy doing here in beautiful northern Colorado?
Yeah.
Well, we're empty nesters.
Okay.
Our kids our son's in Italy getting his master's degree.
Awesome.
And our youngest is in Oregon getting her degree.
Okay.
So we've been doing interesting new things for us. We've been together 35 years.
Yeah.
So for the first time, we tubed the pooter.
Nice.
That was pretty fun. We've taken hikes that we just haven't ever taken here in northern Colorado.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Jason's avid mountain biker.
Okay.
And we're also foodies and really enjoy cooking at home together. And
Yeah, occasionally dining out and stuff
For
like
sure.
that. So yeah,
For
it really,
sure.
especially you can just create such a nice environment even in your own backyard, and do your own little staycations, and stuff. We
Yeah.
really try to kind of create that. We got the Tivoli lights, and of course the fire pit and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, it's just really
awesome.
fun.
And I'm sure it's quite different after having the children with you for so long and now being empty nesters. It's like, oh my God, what do we do? But oh my God, we can do all these things. We are in the opposite transition of our life where
Yes.
we were together for 4 years and then we had our first child and now we have a 5 and a 4-year-old. And so now it's like, we still get out as much as we can. We expose
Sure.
them to cool restaurants and we take them out and we do things constantly with them. But it is different.
Yes.
It minimizes or it changes the things that you
It
can do or
changes.
that you were used to doing
Yeah.
just together. So,
Yeah.
but that's cool though. I love it. Well, thanks again to you both. Thank you to all of you for tuning in to learn about yet another great local company. My family and I love coming down here to the Exchange. And although we don't drink anymore, the patio setting always looks very inviting. And it's great to know that, we don't need to be pushed away. We can come on in. We can have a great bite. We can have a mocktail.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the patio with the kiddos and everything. So once again, I'm Morgan Merriman, realtor at Remax Alliance here in Fort Collins. If you have a business or you know of somebody who has a business who would like to be featured on my interview series, please go ahead and reach out to me. All of my information will be at the end of the video. And then, of course, I'm always happy to help out both you and your loved referrals for any real estate needs. So thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Lifestyle Living's Community Connection.